Cool cats and kittens. This is Mrs. Bronstein, my daughter,
Talia.
and our family dog, Eva. Today we are going to be showing you how to make fairy gardens. Now, fairy gardens can be any size. They can be super small, as in this container. They could be a little bit larger in this planter, but today we're going to be showing you how to repurpose something from your home. For example, this is a bucket that we got from the Dollar Tree. It's had a couple of uses, including holding some shoes at the bottom of our stairs. So today we're going to actually give it a new home by planting a fairy garden. Talia? Step one. The first thing that you have to do, especially if your bottom does not have holes in it, is you need to make sure that there's proper drainage. How do we make sure that there's proper drainage when we're planting?
Well, we have a few rocks from the yard, so we're going to use those to put them in our tub or whatever, and that's our drainage.
Perfect. So we've already collected them. Some of them are larger, some of them are smaller. It doesn't matter what size, but we know that we're going to make sure that it's about an inch on the bottom. Now, Talia here has a couple of rocks set aside that she thought were pretty perfect that she's able to paint then, and we can add them as decorations to our fairy gardens. So I'm going to go ahead and turn over the paints to Talia while I show you the next steps in the process. So make sure you're taking your rocks and you're layering the bottom. Spread them out relatively evenly. And now we have our good base that is going to allow for excellent drainage. Step two, you have a couple of options afforded to you. If you want to wear gloves, that's fine. Me, I've been planting earlier today, so I'm perfectly fine with using my hands. But next we're going to add soil. The soil here that I have is organic and natural potting mix. This is just something that we happen to have lying around. But if you guys have dirt in the back of your yard, clean fill, or if you have any other type of dirt that you use, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to spend additional money in order to make these fairy gardens. So real quickly, I'm just gonna sprinkle a thin layer on top. Actually, it's probably gonna be about 5 inches or so. And that looks good to me. One thing I'm making sure too, because we have these handle cutouts here, handle cutouts here, I'm not gonna go above that because when I'm watering my plants, I don't want the water to run out. So we have this down, which is looking really, really good. Next step, the plants. I was so fortunate to have received this beautiful succulent from Mrs. McCarran, whom you all know and love, and I'm actually going to use it as part of my fairy garden. It's really adorable too because if you peek under here, there happens to be an extra little baby friend. So I can decide if I want to keep them together, separate them in a separate container, or what I choose. For me personally, I think I'm going to just keep them together.
I'm going to go get some water.
Sounds good.
Why?
So now I am going to find a good spot for them. I prefer to put my plants off to one side versus another, just because it gives me that much more space to play with, to manipulate some fun things in our fairy garden. Once I've done that, I notice that I need just a little bit more soil so that we can top it off. So I'll just sprinkle some more on because I want it to be nice and level around my plants for my items to go in neatly. Once that's done, I'm gonna pat it down, clean off my plant, and now this is where the fun begins. You could use potentially anything that you have in your house. You could repurpose items like, painting rocks. For me, I actually have a container filled with small pieces of wood, buttons, some flowers, even like things that I've collected over the years. Like I believe this was on a sign that I got from the Dollar General, and these little figurines are things that we decided that we didn't have a purpose for, but I collect them and I put them all in this jar. Simple things, if you would like, you could do pennies, you could do rocks. My daughter even suggested these. Talia, do you want to tell me where we got these beans?
They're well, my teacher actually calls them blurt beans.
Blurt beans. And was this from last year?
Yep.
And what are blurt beans?
Well, our teacher gave them to us in like the middle of the year because she thought that we talked a lot during well, like time for her to talk, or like when she's reading or something.
So the blurt beans actually I think are one of my favorite things that can go in the fairy garden because they have such a beautiful color and they have such a natural look to them that, you know, I might want to do like a little trail of these blurt beans, making it almost like a path. And it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be straight, and that's where your imagination can simply run wild. So we have our fun little path that we have with our blurt beans. Again, I like the idea that it looks like really organic, simply because, you know, it's not perfect. And that's the beauty about doing fairy gardens. The next thing that I have is a box of items that we got from our old dollhouse. It was actually handed down to me from my older sister. But again, this is just an option for you if you're like, oh, what should I do? You know, like maybe we'll just choose to use this little chair and we'll decide that this is going to be a place where our fairies are going to sit. So I think our fairy's going to want to sit potentially in this area. But we're going to give her a nice little background so that she can sit there comfortably and not have to worry about, you know, getting all dirty or anything. These things are actually crafts that I got from the Dollar Tree in Enola. Dollar Tree has like bags of sand. They have miniature colored rocks, and even when I showed you these rocks earlier, these rocks I actually got from the Dollar Tree. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna sprinkle some sand on top. We're outside, so it's okay if we make a mess. And this is where my fairy is going to reside in her little chair. Next, I think I'm gonna use some of these green stones just to kind of spruce up the edges. And I think I'll start here. I think I'm actually gonna do a pattern of green stones on the outside here. Just going back through, filling in any of the parts that I missed. And then, I really like this color of blue sand. This to me is almost like a purple. Talia, what color would you say this is?
Blue.
Okay, so like very blurple, bluish purple. And I'm just gonna take the sand. You can decide if you want to make it appear to be water or if you just like it as the sand. So now we have our beautiful layer of our fairy garden. I'm just going to use the rest of this packet just because it's extra, and I mean, might as well rather than just having a sprinkle or a dusting left over.
I'm done with this rock.
That's gorgeous.
And well, that's a rainbow, and this is supposed to be like an ice cream cone. Somebody's kind of holding it. A Smurf is holding it.
Would you like to decide where you want to put it in our fairy garden?
Sure.
Okay, so select any place that you would like, and we'll make it work.
I think that maybe the rainbow should be like in the sand to give it like a touch of color because it's white. Maybe this one could be beside the house.
Perfect. They look excellent. You can use that. So now I'm gonna go to my treasure trove, and I'm simply going to have Talia pick out a few items that she thinks that she wants to finish our fairy garden with. We have made a mess.
Definitely not this fairy. It has a weird nose.
Okay, so unless this one literally gets plastic surgery on her plastic, we're not going to use her. How about this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to use Pocahontas Fairy, and we are going to give her a home somewhere. Where do you think, Tal? I'll let you decide.
Maybe she's like a water fairy.
I love it.
So we stick her by the water.
The other fun thing is, and you can get these in bulk, they have like little fences. Now this one was green. I think we attempted at some point in time to paint it white, but I'm actually just gonna put it right here to kind of section off like where the plant comes from where the ice cream rock is. Talia, could you select just a few more items to put in top? So these are the stones. I just like putting them anywhere. Maybe they're, you know, if this is water potentially, maybe they're just trying to make, you know, the water fairy feel happy.
Maybe some flowers like in there.
That's perfect.
And then a bow somewhere.
Okay.
I just think it would look cute.
Okay, so we can almost adorn our little succulent with that bow. Do you see any other flowers that we could add here? I'm seeing some. It's perfect.
It's not the same type, but it's a flower.
And then lastly, let's figure out what we want to put by her fairy seat. Is there something specifically that you think would look good? Let's see what our options are. We have some more figurines. We have butterfly. There's this little barn.
I'm gonna try rinsing this off, see what it says.
Okay. These little mushrooms we actually use in a different craft, and after we were done with that craft, I know that Talia didn't want to keep it anymore, so I actually took them off the craft. So that's always a good idea. If there's something that you use, like maybe you made a diorama for school, you could potentially reuse those items. So I'm just going to put a little mushroom here. There's a couple of little additional, you see that? Additional flowers. And finally, the last thing that I'm going to put in mine is these tiny little mirrors.
Maybe we could put this by her spot because it says Gnome Cottage, and maybe this is the Gnome Cottage. It says what do you say? Mushroom Road and
Perfect.
Snail Street.
Wherever you would like to put it is good by me. And then finally, we're just going to put these little mirrors here. And Talia, if you happen to see any other items that you want, we can add to it.
Maybe another fairy.
All right. And then we're going to show you our finished product. So, if you could, camera. So this is our finished product of our fairy garden. It's adorable. It was super easy to do. It was super fun. You could do, like I said, your homemade crafts. You could choose to do anything else. And all I wanted to say is I enjoyed making this thoroughly, and I appreciate the help of my camera person and my daughter. So with that being said, I'm gonna—
The dog.
And the dog.
Who's sniffing right now.
Excellent. That could only lead to good things. Talia, could you please sign off for us until we do another tutorial with Mrs. Bronstein?
Well, we'll see you next time, I guess. Cats and tigers or whatever.
Cats and kittens, signing off from the Bronstein family. Goodbye.